Am I the idiot for saying no to an open bar with no limit and calling the venue to set up the limit? I, female 42, and my husband, male 44, have a 21-years-old daughter. She's getting married soon. We're very close to her. We have a great relationship and we absolutely adore her fiancé, 22M. We spend a lot of time with them. My husband and I are paying in full for their wedding with the exception of her wedding dress, veil and headpiece that my mom bought for her as a gift from the grandparents. Everything has been going smoothly with the wedding planning. We've very much stayed out of it politely, unless asked for advice or suggestions. We know it's their wedding and their choice. We have been involved, of course. We've gone to the food tasting at the venue, did the dress shopping and a few other things they invited us to. But mostly we just don't interfere and I just happily write the check for the deposits, sign the contracts, and send them out. The venue, decorator, caterer, bakery, photographer, florist, and entertainment have been booked and all's been paid for either in full or have deposits made. The issue comes with the bar. They want a completely open bar wedding reception with no limit. My husband and I both immediately said, absolutely not. No. This is the only thing we told her no to. It's also the only thing they tried to go over budget with. Both my daughter and her fiancé got angry and told us it's not up for debate and it's not negotiable. They're doing it. Her fiancé, who's usually very laid back, polite and easygoing, also called me an idiot for trying to control them and dictate what they do for their wedding and I don't have the right to. I told them that as long as we're paying for it, it will be within my budget and control. I told them the set amount that we were willing to pay for the bar tab and that's it. Anything else above and beyond that will be their responsibility. I didn't yell at them. I would not even have called it an argument. Just a disagreement, I guess. They immediately left angry. I didn't think it was unreasonable for me to set the boundaries for my budget, so I wasn't upset about it. Now here's where I may be an idiot. I called the venue the other day, the day after our disagreement, and spoke with the coordinator. I signed the contract so I have the authority. We had a candid discussion about the size of the wedding, and the average cost for bar tabs that size, and the different options. After that was thoroughly discussed, I set a predetermined amount for the bar tab and she noted on the contract that anything after the limit was reached was to be paid by the guests. I then set it so that no drink could be ordered that was more than $10. Generous considering average top shelf drinks are about $7 to $8 here. I called my daughter after I did that and informed her of what I did and doubled down on the budget and absolutely not paying for a fully open, unlimited bar at her wedding. They both called me an idiot again. Now they won't speak to me or answer my calls. So am I the idiot? I don't think I am, but I'll take my verdict fair and square. Edit 1. With the current bar package I set up, no one is paying for anything unless the budgeted limit is reached. Then the option is to turn it into a cash bar, where guests pay. And if that happens, which it should not, the bride and groom will be informed of the budgeted limit being reached. They can choose at that time to contribute to the extra expense at that point if they want to instead of a cash bar. But here's the deal. 1. The budget limit is still the same amount I told them it would be. The venue coordinator estimated it's more than enough. It's by far much higher than the average bar tab for the size of her wedding. It should be more than enough to last all evening and no guests should have to pay for drinks. 2. The bar is still open, with the exception of a price cap on what can be ordered. Guests cannot order a free drink from the open bar that costs more than $10 per drink. The average top shelf drink there is $7 to $8 per drink. It's not unreasonable. This way no one can order a $2,000 shot or other extremely expensive drinks that would blow through the budget limit in a very short time. 3. There is no quantity limit per person on drinks. And according to the venue coordinator, this is the most common way of doing things. Also, if the bride and groom find this unacceptable, they can call the venue coordinator and set up their own contract, making them legally responsible for whatever the expense is above my limits. Edit 2. People are saying they're very entitled. I am not arguing that point. But I think it's fair to say that they are generally not this way. She's very humble, kind, and compassionate. She's a good person and wasn't raised as a spoiled, pampered princess with no boundaries. She's had them and we're not doormats for her to manipulate. They both work full-time and both make good money. They're financially independent and stable. He's always been a decent, respectful young man and responsible with his finances too. They both repeatedly thanked us several times throughout this wedding process. They've been very grateful and appreciative. I have no idea what caused this abrupt change now. We're very close to them and typically spend time with them 4 or more nights a week, either at our home or theirs for dinner. And we do a lot of stuff with them in public too. They take their younger siblings out regularly too. Edit 3. His parents are not contributing. His dad isn't involved in his life, and his mom is disabled and on fixed income. Now for a few comments before the update. Not the idiot. Your daughter sounds entitled and spoiled. Does she even realize how lucky she is to have someone pay for her wedding? My fiancé and I have no freaking financial support, so forgive me that it makes me sick to see someone so unappreciative of everything you are doing. Comment 2, not the idiot. Holy cow, is your kid entitled? A limit is good just in general, no one needs to be getting tanked at a wedding. But you're literally paying for everything, and haven't butted in on any other plans. I think you should ask her why she truly needs an open bar, and see her sputter and answer. What's she going to say? All of my friends want to get wasted in your time? Now for the update. Also, sister-in-law refers to a son-in-law. Not my sister-in-law. The second day after the argument, my parents lovingly got involved. My dad is the wise old man and my mom is the perpetual peacemaker. So they invited my daughter and son-in-law, sister-in-law, over a couple days into this argument, and had a talk with them about the whole situation. They calmly listened to the kids and had a candid talk about the situation. My mom pointed out that being estranged and or tense with the parents on her wedding day was not something that my daughter wanted. By the time the talk was over, my daughter and sister-in-law fully understood that they had been extremely inappropriate. The next day my sister-in-law sent me a very large mixed bouquet of my favorite flowers to my work. Later that evening they both stopped by to apologize in person. They brought a nice gift basket of some of mine and her dad's favorite things. They told us that they had both realized the next day, after the argument, that they were rude and disrespectful once they understood that what we were doing and paying for the bar contract was more than reasonable. They said they had felt guilty for yelling at me, but at the time, were still angry that I made arrangements for the bar contract without them having a say in it. So they continued to just ignore our calls until my dad pointed out that I was well within my rights to do what I did, since my husband and I were the wedding benefactors and I was the sole, legally responsible party for the bar contract. He also pointed out it was logical common sense to protect the budget. And the bottom line is that while it would have been a courtesy to include them in the conversation because it was their wedding, it ultimately wasn't their business how I negotiated the bar contract, as it was not their money paying for it. He also pointed out that I had been more than generous and reasonable, and did not screw them over or humiliate them as hosts. And they realized that's true. So this past weekend was the wedding. It was a beautiful wedding, a fun, happy day. Overall it was low stress and just an enjoyable day. At the reception my sister-in-law nabbed me for a dance and told me he's very grateful for having me and my husband in his life, as we're the good and stable parents he didn't have and he loves us both. He told my husband the same thing while they were getting ready. My husband was there, his dad wasn't. It wasn't lost on him at what good parents we are to him too. As for the alcohol/bar tab, we did not go over budget by a long shot, and everyone had plenty of options and didn't go without. There was a total of one younger man who got completely wasted. He wasn't a fighter and wasn't causing any problems. He had his GF with him and they had a hotel room rented at the venue, so they let him be. A couple more people were fairly drunk but not troublesome. So now, they're on their honeymoon and we're dogs sitting on their corgi. All is good. Comment 1. Good update. Your actions were very reasonable, and I'm happy your daughter and son-in-law both apologized and realized the error of their ways. Hopefully it was just the stress of everything that got to them. Comment 2. That sounds really good. And honestly, I think their initial reaction was more or less hearing the topic with kiddos. I think they interpreted you managing your budget as, I, the parent, know better than you that you kids are too irresponsible for an open bar, so I am cutting you off before you barf, young lady. No discussion, the grown-ups have already decided. Now, for the next story. Am I the idiot for telling my sister-in-law that no one in our family is named Stephanie? I can't figure out if I did anything wrong, or if so, what, because I honestly have no idea what's going on. Hopefully someone here can give me a clue. Here's the relevant info, as far as I know. My brother and his wife are expecting their first girl after 2 boys. I love Ricky and Jace, and so does my sister-in-law, but she has always wanted a girl and is very excited to be having one. She also wants to name the girl Chloe, as she loves that name. My brother hates the name Chloe and really wants to name their daughter Stephanie. They have been arguing about it for a few weeks, since finding out the gender. I got to my parents' house late last night, and my sister-in-law was the only person still awake. We talked for a little bit, and she asked me the weirdest question. She asked me if I knew any stories about Great-Aunt Stephanie. I was so confused. I literally said, "Who?" Sister-in-law clarified that she was talking about our grandmother's older sister that died when Grandma was a little girl. Our grandma had 2 sisters, but their names were Judy and Lynn. There's no one in our family named Stephanie, as far as I know. I told as much to my sister-in-law. She changed the subject after that, and we soon went to bed. This morning my brother and his wife were both sulking during breakfast. Even the kids could tell. Ricky kept saying, "Stop being grumpy on Christmas." So it wasn't just my imagination. I got my brother alone and confronted him. He snapped at me for meddling, and told me to stay out of his marriage. My brother is pissed at me, and my sister-in-law won't even talk to me. I'm afraid to say anything to my parents and drag them into this, especially since I still don't know what this is. Either my grandmother had a secret sister that I don't know about but my brother does for some reason, or my brother lied to his wife to convince her to name their baby Stephanie. Both options seem equally weird to me. Maybe there's a third possibility I'm not seeing? Reddit, am I the idiot? If so, please explain to me why. I don't want to be the reason Christmas is ruined. Update. Most awkward Christmas Eve dinner ever. Gotta keep this short. Lots going on. Everyone now knows what my brother was doing with the kids, names except the kids obviously. They are pissed. Weirdly, my mom is the most pissed. A Christmas truce is in place for the kids, so no fighting on the holiday. However, the baby is definitely going to be named Chloe. My brother very quickly backed down when my mom said some few choice words to him. The topic is completely banned for the rest of festivities, so, for now at least, they've tied a bow on the situation. Christmas morning. Update. Aside from some glaring over a couple of the boys' stocking stuffers, Robin Funko Pops, everything went well with the gift opening, as well as being woken up at 5:30 a.m. by being jumped on by one's nephews. I think my brother realizes he crossed the line and has been very attentive to his wife. He mentioned getting Chloe's name embroidered on some stuff when they get home. He even told Mom he would do the Christmas breakfast so she could have a break, and he gave me an "I'm sorry" grin when I opened his gift. I think everything is going to be fine. Now for a few comments before another update. Not the idiot. You cannot be expected to maintain lies you are not aware of, if you even view maintaining convenient lies as one of your duties in the first place. Way too many of these questions are because some relative refused to lie to another relative, or just didn't know that a lie exists. Comment 2. Not the idiot. I don't know why your sister-in-law is not talking to you. She asked the question and you answered honestly. And your brother either lied to you or lied to her. He's the AH here. You didn't meddle. She brought the conversation up organically. Now for the update. I told Mikey and his wife that I posted on Reddit. Mikey was confused that I figured out what he was doing, because he knows I have no interest in comics. So, I sent both of them the post. Mikey was really embarrassed when he read what many of you said. Mikey is playful and loves his kids more than anything. Our family has always been one to tolerate small short-term white lies for the sake of harmless pranks. However, Mikey's lie wasn't small, short-term, or harmless. He hurt his wife's feelings deeply. Mikey says, and sister-in-law confirmed, that he was never insistent about naming my oldest nephew Richard. There were other names he suggested, but she liked Richard, so they picked it. Mikey spends a lot of time with Ricky. He often takes him to job sites and lets Ricky pretend to be his assistant. He has this playful thing with Ricky that he's Mikey's sidekick, and they're a team. It's sweet. Here in death the sweetness. When my sister-in-law was pregnant again, Mikey wanted to replicate the Robin thing. He wanted to name this son after the next Robin, Jason. My sister-in-law wasn't as big a fan of that name, but she also didn't have a name she loved. Mikey was very persistent about the name, so she decided it was fine. He never told her why he wanted that name, just said he really liked it. My sister-in-law said to him, and to me as well, she doesn't have a problem with the fact that he got the name from a comic book. She gets what the meaning is to him, even though she doesn't like comics, and she does think it's cute. Her issue is that he lied by omission. Even though she wouldn't have cared about the name, he lied just in case she might have, and if it had been something she wouldn't have approved of, she would want to have been able to say no. However, even this she would have not been too mad about. The lie of omission became an active lie when he made up a family member to convince her of the name of the next Robin, Stephanie, when there was a girl named she loved, Chloe. That's not a small lie for a cute prank. Even though Mikey was defensive initially, after they had a private conversation this morning, he realized how wrong he was and apologized. My sister-in-law said he was very sincere, and Mikey has never been good at faking sincerity. He feels very bad for taking advantage of her trust. He feels even worse that it involved their children. This whole thing has soured my sister-in-law on the name Chloe. Now it only reminds her of the fight and hurt. She wants to come up with a completely new name, maybe one related to her hobby, like Mallory or Rita. She's going to take some time to not think about it. Their marriage isn't in danger, but a wound is there. Now that Mikey has admitted fault, it can heal, and it will with time. If you learn anything from Mikey, learn that everyone makes mistakes. If someone truly loves you, they can usually forgive you. However, to earn that forgiveness you have to admit to what you did, not double down and try to trick your way out of it. Comment 1. Your brother sucks. The only reason his tail is between his legs now is because he got caught and was forced to come clean. He was and would have continued to push for the name Stephanie had you not posted on Reddit. Hopefully he is not this selfish in other areas. I'm glad your sister-in-law will be able to pick the name she wants. Comment 2. I'm sorry, but it seems like they're both downplaying this. That was a betrayal, a years-long lie. I hope your sister-in-law allows herself to fully process how she feels, allows herself to be mad if she needs to be, and that Mikey steps up to actually atone for what he did. A lot of people will think it's small, but I don't know that I could stay with a man who would lie to me for years over anything involving my children.